During the recording of this episode, this was where I came up with the title, as I saw how the absolute mental breakdown of most of these episodes here in Season 5 and in Season 4 have been going down. This one absolutely was just like an absolute accurate, perfect demonstration of like a mental meltdown. And like, hey, I'm just sitting here babbling, and like anybody from an outside perspective literally cannot even see what is going on from watching this. Unless, of course, I'm insanely delusional and just think that they can, but they can't. And, well, it's basically the cause of this title being the end of capping off that whole section of the show. But this season has to continue. This season has to finish. The next season has to be more fun, enjoyable, and definitely more on topic and on within the guidelines that I set for myself. And then basically everything after season 6 is whatever. But for right now, finishing this season, doing things how I have been all of the seasons is pretty good. And then, you know, ultimately, like, as much as I literally cannot stand this at all, I cannot imagine also being able to do this better. But I record my episodes of my podcast, I do my freaking time, and then I fucking move on. As well as when I finish what I'm doing, then, you know, I have all the other side projects going on, and spread thin, scatter all over the place and everything, and still going. So I'll see how this works out, especially since I have everything mapped out meticulously, the mastermind. That's good stuff! Let it roar! This is a bit of a duty that I feel that I have to do. Full disclaimer, I feel like I'm assuming some responsibility here, but when have I ever been one to shy away from things or beat around the bush? And at least, I guess at least when it mattered most, I just would rather shy and beat around the bush when, like, it doesn't matter. That doesn't make any sense. But let me tell you about something else that doesn't make sense. That my news feed today had a bunch of people saying stuff, and this he said, she said business has to be resolved in my mind, where I'm seeing what people are saying, including the President of the United States of America, who literally trashed the rumors of him saying something about trash that no one said, that he said something about trash, and then people saying the things about what he said is not even, like, relevant. It's not even, doesn't apply here. It's kind of one of those, like, could the nature of politics really get any more obvious at this point? Could any more people just jump on the bandwagon at the same time as they are now? Myself, I don't know if myself is technically being one of those people that's included, but I certainly would sure like to at least have had thrown my 2 cents in at some point and chipped in about something, as the confusion's not what I would like to use as the basis. It's more of a, well, I have to make sense of this when I come across this on my newsfeed. It didn't come across on my newsfeed either. It actually came across from me exploring. So if I can't explore and find and interact with certain things that I'm actually interested in, well, then that is a lack of freedom. That's explicitly demonstrating a lack of freedom. That I would rather go click explore, click search, look at trending topic. The trending topics popping up on the search bar is one thing. So it's totally excusable for any of the ways you want to badmouth me or trash me for my views, or just being here right now, as most of us feel this way. Most of us feel like our whole entire existence is inevitably, indubitably waste of time. Just total waste of time. The ability for me to jump on my search bar and find something I'm actually interested in and interact with that, that's really what I want to freaking see my documentation of. Me documenting how I got, as I've been doing a lot of podcasts and a lot of documenting on my current scenario and what I'm seeing on my feed and sharing a lot of these things. I share a lot of my viewpoints with you, and I share a lot of how I feel about stuff. I share a lot of what I'm seeing, and it's never really ever did quite cut the mustard. Never really did. So I guess the only real solution for me is to go dive further, dive deeper in. If it hasn't been satisfying me enough, or am I referring to myself or am I referring to my audience? I can never be too quite sure. But those ways that I can document the experience of, I'm unable to interact with people on a mental health basis, on a mental health level, where my mental health is at, restricts me from interacting properly. At least I interact just fine with all the posts that I'm actually interested in, and the ways that I don't is my own personal thing and my own personal issue that bleeds into all this stuff, where I still draw the line and say that I'm not going to share certain private views with the public. But once again, just another anomaly and another conundrum that truly best describes who I am and what I am. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. But I'll tell you what's even more frustrating. To not be able to really be able to describe at all the ways that the experience is actually felt through that breaking of the chains, the breaking of the proverbial chains of, look, I'm just trying to find fucking tattoos and music instruments and musicians and fucking just do my thing as I'm just a musician. As you can clearly see, I'm a guitarist. Clearly, I am a guitarist. Okay? As for the things that pop up on my feed, like the trending topics, I have this peculiar segue into what I want to say, and that's why I make music. That's why I'm a guitarist. I've been posting a few videos recently about teaching you how to play guitar. So I need to do some more vocal exercise videos now, where I can show you how I'm doing some vocals. If only I could stop muddying it up with them videos of other people showing you how to do vocals, especially videos of people trying to show you how to do vocals who are actually professionals. I still get some good feedback. I appreciate the feedback that I get. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you guys for your support on the positive feedback. The negative feedback, I don't know if I have time to respond to all the negative feedback, but I certainly do respond to some of it, where I can say to you, like, hey, this is some good feedback that I get, where this is some good feedback where it's not good feedback, it's actually bad feedback. But it's good because it allows me to have a voice and interact in some way. As I don't want to always have positive feedback, even though everybody else in this musical genre gets nothing but love from everybody. And that's one of the reoccurring themes. I like to get different perspectives and gather different perspectives on this from the other people that I'm interviewing. So that when I'm interviewing the other people and then asking them how they feel about getting nothing but constant good feedback, honestly, they don't know how to respond. They don't really know what to say yet. So, you know how times are right now. Maybe give it 1 year or 2 years, and I'll have some kind of a substantial response that I can actually add in there that has to be like quoted and then repeated on the introduction of the episode, where I'm saying, when I asked this person about getting nothing but positive feedback, how did they feel about this? This is how they felt about this. At any rate, anyhow, anywho, and whatever, the ways that this hits me and impacts me when I come across this information makes me come across some other stuff too, like that I have to just throw in there. As I run a tight ship around here, I didn't even introduce myself yet. My name's Mickey Gemini. This is the Vault of Doom podcast. It is actually a metal podcast, but I'm just feeling like getting some quick bonus episode vibes off my chest right now. So when I come across these things that have like to be cleaned up is one thing that reinforces it is that people say that there is a word called clickbait. There's a phrase, there's a term called clickbait. Clickbait is important to basically reinforce what I'm saying. As ultimately, people think I just have like no ego at all. People literally just think I'm some kind of guy who's impenetrable to ego and ego games. Well, here I am, sitting right here. I'm Mickey Gemini, this Vault Doom podcast, sitting on my podcast, talking about these particular, specifically, ego by definition games. And the way that this thing that I have to clean up is reinforced by clickbait, by hearing people say clickbait, is, well, I'm seeing this stuff on my feed. I'm seeing this stuff on my news feed. And I don't like it. I have something to say about it. I don't know how all you guys do all this. I don't know how you guys do this, but the way that I do this is, something that I'm always on the edge of my seat in massive cringe. Just like, am I going to reveal the nature of my magician secrets? No! I am not going to reveal the nature of the human fucking existence. But God, these copy and paste on this issue is freaks me out. I probably won't go there. I probably won't touch that. I probably won't go anywhere near that. Freaks me out. The copying and pasting on this issue being like, hey, copy and paste a meme, or copy and paste a riddle, or copy and paste a joke. Don't copy and paste responses to political controversy, where the controversy itself is perfectly in perfect. It doesn't need to be restored. It's perfect. The controversy itself is perfectly in order. It just took me like 5 to 10 minutes to sit there and go, oh, Trump said that Puerto Rico's trash? Oh, Biden's posting that he didn't say trash? He was referring to what Trump said as trash? It's like, okay, this is our president here. Okay, he's doing perfectly fine in the communication aspect of things. I'm not going to get into any of the actual issues that I wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but I will say on the communication aspect of things, using Twitter to communicate with the populace is something that like a lot of people really are not well informed on. Really, truly don't have. They're just clueless to the fact that Twitter and X and the social media site is the effective, legit, and frequent source of communicating with the leader and his people. Back and forth communication, most likely. I don't know what kind of public figure you have to be to get a response if you interact, to get an actual interaction from the president or anybody like that. But there's the communication. The communication is there. So you get started on any social media site and find yourself in good habits and somebody teaching you and showing you how to properly use all these things, and you're in good shape for starters. That's all I can say. That's all I can say there. That's all I can really do there. As for the freaking ways that this trending topic stuff finding its way on my feed, making me jump down a quite literal rabbit hole. It's a literal rabbit hole. There's deep scrolling. That's bad. Essentially, that's bad. There's deep scrolling with stuff that you like. That's even worse. There's checking out the news and seeing what's going on the trending searches. That's the rabbit hole. That's a literal rabbit hole. Okay, this is going on because I'm seeing everything I don't care about most of the time on all trending stuff. Mostly everything on the trending searches is stuff I don't care about. It's stuff that I don't care about, and then I have to search in there and dig and find something I do care about. And then when I do find something that I care about, reciprocating my input and actually being able to reciprocate my input and interact with somebody that responds to what I'm saying, completely, totally non-existent. Doesn't exist at all. That literally does not exist at all. So I've actually put together this episode of the show. I'm Big Gemini, Multitude Podcast. I put together this episode of the show with some different type of interface and everything. So enjoy some of my music while I jump on a commercial break and collect myself. Don't you forget yourself. And who you are. Alright, I'm back with the freaking show of clearing this up. So, literally, the guy that fucking said this is unclear. As for the amount of time spent, it's unclear what was actually said. Though it's perfectly clear that Trump said that Puerto Rico is a floating island of trash. It's actually really unclear on what context. So, for me to take that extra step, you're going to get basically an off-brand version of coverage on this event. And that's totally fine. Baby steps, young grass smokers. Speaking of smokers, if I had a freaking sponsor, I would love to be sponsored by Natural and Organic American Spirit Tobacco. As I smoke, it's more of I smoke, but I prefer vaping. But technically I prefer tobacco. I just can't ever seem to freaking get this right. Hold on, let me get this right. Hold on. I smoke. And because it's a natural American spirit tobacco, I basically just smoke whenever I want to. I don't actually smoke every day or every week or every month or every year. I'm pretty sure I've gone months without smoking that I can say makes for a true representative of American spirit tobacco. So anyway, let's look at the logistics of having a tobacco company sponsor you, and then let's just throw it off and cast it off to the wayside, as it's not meant to be. I guess it's technically not meant to be taken that seriously anyway. Anywho, at any rate. Those people that say these things are really going to be hearing some blowback from this, okay? Those people that say these things, I mean, obviously there's, as an off-brand reaction to this event, I really can't say much, but what I can say is that the whole entire country is definitely mad about this. They're not very happy. Not too happy about this. They're upset about having someone call their country a floating island of garbage. The other thing that is what my idea of a reaction to this is would ultimately be defined as politics. Sulfur, 3 cheers for sulfur with water. Sulfur, the way that people responded is ultimately what I would like to get into, but you're going to define it as some sort of you're going to define this as ameliorative. And save it. Just save your feedback. Save how you feel about it. Hold everything back, please. Contain your excitement. The ways that people responded to this is like so, okay? I won't expose these people's profiles, as if you watched the previous episodes, you saw that as a bit of a joke, and just something, I guess, that, once again, just another thing of me demonstrating what I'm capable of doing with my insecure masculinity, just running absolutely fucking rampant. The ways that people responded to this is very important to me. It is very important to me when I see my reaction to it is totally sarcastic, totally unacceptable, just unacceptable to be like sarcastically. And this is a total personal issue. This is totally a personal thing. This is something I have to deal with myself. This is something I have to work on myself on my own time. And those things that have a good deal of sentimental value to them that they said shouldn't be overlooked completely, but it should be slightly overlooked in the sense that I can't even spend too much time talking and thinking about it either, because that's just as bad as being sarcastic. I would have rather been sarcastic right away than to spend a whole bunch of time talking about all this stuff and kicking these people upstairs. But they made me think a lot about my own life personally as well. So it's a deep cut. Wherever the knives or wherever the sword over Damocles is being hung from, we need to find that rope and slice that fucker down. But just make sure that I'm not sitting underneath it when you do that, please, so that the goddamn sword doesn't fall and slice me in half. Those fucking ways that they responded were like, goddamn, my fucking family are all reputable people, and they have good careers and all these sorts of things. I thought to myself, well, so am I. I'm living like a bum, and people could just say whatever the fuck they want about me. Someone literally fucking even shit outside my doorstep twice, and they give two shits about like every second that passes about what I'm doing with my fucking creative shit. It's the worst. It's the fucking worst. I'll review this later when I make it out of the whole ordeal, and then be like, I remember when I saw that. That was cool. Good times. The good old days. But here I am right now. Anyway, the fucking goddamn motherfucking responses of them having good families and all this stuff. This demonstrates that, hey, it's not okay. Choose your place in the battle is what the calling is. The message being communicated to me from a higher power, from a higher place up, is choose your calling, choose your place in the battle, and then don't just choose your place in the battle. Try follow up with that's all personal shit after that. Follow up with your personal ethos. Follow up with what you can do, what you respect your own limitations, etc., etc. But the ways that the ways that they're responding is so goddamn motherfucking contradictory to the trash talk, the bad mouthing that has been done towards a whole country. I mean, a lot of us that do this type of thing that I'm doing right now, there should be people educating other people on this, as much as there are people educating other people on the trending topics and the trending topics in your search bar for Google, and in your search bar for the other various different social media platforms. This social media platform is actually not the one that I was expecting it to be. So the ways that I could really make this clear, as a total unnecessary, insignificant burden on me, is on my end it's cleared up. On my end it's cleared up from making something, doing something about it, having something done about it that I have to follow up with that too. So then following up with that, maybe I'll get some better results, but I'm dealing personally with the issues of having all my social media sites on one website, and somehow I still jump into one thing and get warped and swept away in the undertow of something's wrong here. So the trash talking about a whole country, reading the responses, it's something I want to get into detail, and so I just did. And so now that I'm done moving on, I'm moving on to I already talked about the copying and pasting. Someone copied and pasted a response to this issue. That's not okay. Not okay. Not okay. It's bad. The other thing was basically just clearing up that our current president said something, and it confused me a little bit, but the way that he said it was just like, he didn't say that. He was saying this thing about what the other guy said. So then where do I side on this? What do I have to say about this? It's not like I could let any of all that fall by the wayside. I can't let any of that fall by the wayside. I can't. So here it is. Here it is. Me not letting it fall by the wayside. Oh, it's good coffee. Yeah, so okay, so hold on. Let me collect myself here. I'm a bit flustered. I'm a bit rattled. It's a good time for a commercial break. Okay, that's enough for commercial break. Wow, that's cool. I like how the lighting, it's auto, I got auto brightness on the screen, and then it's, all the cool features are cool and all, but, and the technology is cool and all, and being more informed on the news through social media, and being more informed on the weather through just taking a long walk, and being more informed on just everything changing, is where I want to make sure I start defining definitive boundaries here, okay? Algorithm's not going to help save me from coming across somebody that has copied and pasted a reaction to something that something controversial that the president said again. Okay, algorithm's not going to help me with that. And whatever it is that needs to be done to keep me from, interacting with and having conversations with and sharing my political and socio-political views with people on a base level of a shallow-minded perspective and understanding of what the whole thing is, also not acceptable, especially considering the fact that I have rarely shared my views on these things, aside from the context of I've written a lot of books and I've written a lot of essays that involve science, psychology, politics, and socio-political topics. I don't know where the fuck any of these things went, but I don't need to spend any time on it at all whatsoever, considering that I already mentioned it in the last episode, and it'll keep haunting me to the grave every step of the way, that I have to just keep throwing it in like a little spice, a little smidgen, a little big chicky, a little big just smiggy chicky, a little smiggy chicky bigger. Alright, that is quite enough of that. So the way that the freaking not the way. So the inevitable restrictions I can impose upon myself in order to actually create a definitive boundary that would ultimately result in something substantially beneficial towards me is ultimately can't describe it. But the dudes that do that don't do that, dude. And I'm even getting some reaffirming. I'm getting some positive affirmations or negative affirmations from the birds and surrounding woodland creatures. I don't know if it's positive or negative. It's just a woodland creature. He'll never be made manifest. And then the restrictions on base level stuff is important. Anyway, it's not restrictions. It's just like organic farming. It's just like any organic farmer that doesn't use pesticides or anything like that. And it's like the companies that want to stop that. And then that is defining, if I have to do it myself, man, if I have to do everything myself, defining and establishing the actual war that's going on here. The actual battle and confrontation that's going on here is that it must be explicitly stated by me that this is organic farming versus GMO. This is freedom versus enslavement. This is etc., etc., etc. And luckily or not so luckily, depending on how I perceive it, this whole country is full of people that share the same concept, and they can start with everything. Just start with everything, and then work your way into, whatever, and then see what's really going on here. I just said to myself yesterday, hey, let me pop in and see what other people's perspectives are. Hey, let me pop in and check out the town. Let me, this is something Shakedown Street used to be the heart of town. You just gotta poke around. And then I decided against it. I decided against it personally as my private soldier, colonel, whatever that I am. And then really I just have like a freaking the part of my role established. My role has been established. And that comes with the territory, or the confusion, the not understanding what the context is. That comes with the territory. Those ways that I could freaking say all this other stuff is gonna need to shift right now. I'm talking about some of the stuff that I can talk about. I'm talking about some of the stuff that I can't talk about, and then I guess I'm just sorting through it and picking through it later. But really, I'm not, though. Really, I'm working as I go along. I'm working through everything as I go along. I'm curating these episodes. I'm curating these conversations with other people and the discussions with other people about specific topics. And then I get my pretty little package to put it in with a nice introduction template. That still is work that I'm personally doing myself. So as it stands right now, wherever this whole specific ways of defining things goes later, in the actuality on a grand scale of things, of having to be able to really look at what you are required to say in your stuff, that's approaching fast. We're on the dawn and on the brink of that approaching very fast. I literally was just thinking about stuff that I'm actually doing while I'm doing it, and the very next day YouTube implemented altered content, yes or no, and then defines what altered content is. I responded by immediately getting everything done. It's ultimately a half-assed job, and now I have to go back and do the fucking goddamn thing again. It's frustrating, and am I really getting any benefit that pays enough for this? I'm not even able to freaking say whether I am or I'm not getting paid for this at all, honestly. I'm not even able to say whether what I'm saying is fucking validated or not. I don't even know if I'm just a fucking lunatic madman ranting and rambling about random shit at random fucking times to random ass people. I did a DeviantArt premiere that I fucking was anticipating on doing. Yeah, good job, Mike. Yeah, nice. Pound it, pal. Pound it, bruh. Pound it, bruh. But I actually premiered and did the announcement through an old lady that just was driving out of the Dollar Tree. She looked like a really heavy metal old lady too. She looked like really heavy metal to me. Everyone I look at just looks like really heavy metal. Everybody I look at is heavy metal. I could look at a little girl and she's heavy metal as fuck. Probably, or something, I don't know. Anyway, the old lady was heavy metal as she might be, crochet needle. I have to think of something creative as to what I really think that she is, and so I really don't think anything about it at all. But she's the one that got my fucking DeviantArt premiere. As I was driving through the fucking sidewalk on the pathway on my bicycle, and she stopped in front of my tracks, and then I went around her and I was gonna keep going, but I saw all the fucking, you know, whatever, and then she was like, stopped right there, and then I turned around and I was like, hey, and I was like yelling at her. I was like, hey, don't stop on the sidewalk or something like this. And then she rolled her window down, but I wasn't saying anything about, hey, stop on the sidewalk or anything like that. What I was saying, I was literally premiering my DeviantArt artwork onto an old lady that stopped in front of the sidewalk. I was like, hey, I drew a picture of the Pope being assassinated. And then I waited to see her reaction, and then she was like, oh, you know, she basically was like, oh, you know, she didn't even think anything about it either. None of us thought anything about anything. It's like I'm just like literally, you know, I don't know, whatever. And then I turned around and drove off, and I was like, yeah, I did my DeviantArt premiere. And then months later, I don't even know, what was this, June, May, probably May. This was back when I was living on the river. And then I turned around and drove off, and I was like, yeah, I did my DeviantArt premiere. And then she maybe she remembers this. Maybe I inculcated some of the atrocities, the pitiful atrocities that are also made manifest through my creative musical arts and my musical art projects YouTube channel. That has something to be said about that. Anywho, anyhow, and at any rate, the goddamn motherfucking Let It Roar, That's Good Stuff segment of the show has reached its brink, where I can now get into, what the fuck does any of this matter to me? I don't know. Maybe just shut up and play your guitar. Maybe just play your guitar and keep talking. Maybe just think of something else, something creative, as long as I don't have to think too much about it. Like the topic being something along the lines of, this fucking episode has no sponsors, so I think I'll probably do a whole episode about me scouting out sponsors as American Spirit Tobacco. It's certainly not gonna fly, homie. It's not gonna fly. As cool as that would be in some sort of comedy skit, that's where it would exist. Some sort of comedy skit. Rick and Morty mouth reaction. If you have a good sense of humor, Sandy Hook, your eyes are stuck. Your eyebrows are stuck on the back of your head right now. I repeat or reiterate, even though I do not like re-emphasis or I don't like re-emphasis, but I like reiteration. So if you I now pronounce you reiteration and reemphasis. You may kiss the freaking metaphorical, literal, total idea, causal plane thing that somehow has found its way here on the Earth plane. What a miracle. What a miracle. Those reiterations are basically what I'm gonna have to get around to after this little segue into that. The segue is gonna be something about just honestly, I'll probably start looking at what I was talking about a second ago. Like, it's probably just gonna be like some kind of coffee thing. I like coffee. It won't be tea, since I've somehow seemed to have voluntarily or involuntarily giving out my freaking abilities to enjoy tea. Well, whatever, all that stuff aside, I gotta freaking tell you guys about the future episodes of the show, as I do always talk about all the previous episodes of the show. I'm like, oh, on the previous episode, all this, that. Not that big a deal, but it's a big deal now, considering that I need to have the freaking way that those moments be shifted the other way around. Need to have that implemented, and I need to inculcate that into the episodes. So the future episodes are talking about all the famous authors and all this other stuff. Something to look forward to. And how I want to segue into this by talking about tea, talking about coffee, maybe vape products. You know, you can't really tell. It's so unacceptable, and yet it's totally acceptable. And the ways that I've shifted from the ways. This is my favorite. Dude, the sponsors being like people that want to sponsor me is usually I don't know how it works at all, but the ways that people sponsor me is like they find me and don't call me, we'll call you kind of thing. Not cool, but I'll do a whole episode. So I'll do a whole not cool. So I'll do a whole episode about how I'm gonna freaking scout out sponsors, and then you guys can watch me scouting out sponsors. The freaking gosh dang melon farming segue was into the freaking gosh dang segue was into something about where my reiteration of something being married to the re-emphasis of something, and how I really can't intervene in that at all. So whatever. The episode's reached its climax. The episode's reached its setting up into the introduction of the beginning to starting to begin thinking towards the idea of possibly creating a potentiality region that would certainly have some sort of hand in playing the abilities towards interacting with and describing the possibility of having any kind of a thing. No, not thing. Hold on. It's actually something else. Hold on. Context. No, not context. The space. No, not space. Definitely not space. It's the opposite of space. A establishment. Yes, that's it. I've got it. I figured it out. An establishment of the freaking, the flippin' gosh dang melon farming. Excuse me. Actual topic of the episode. So, what happens when, this would be a rhetorical question, what happens when, excuse me, what happens when you make podcasts or videos about politics specifically with nothing else to fall back on at all whatsoever? Well, the answer is very clear. You make shit tons of extremely long videos as a generalized podcaster, in the generalized podcaster category. The ways that, hold on a second. When you do a podcast about other stuff and then you make stuff, sprinkle little politics in there, then you have something to fall back on, and you might still have to do it for the same frequency amount of time and also the same duration, but there's not really much of a bother. It's not a bother. It's not a problem. When you have completely and totally lost your mind, you become Alex Jones and you make Infowars.com. Woo! Spooky podcasts. Spooky podcasters. Spooky topics. Spooky microphones. Spooky recordings. Spooky video cameras. Spooky things that you can enjoy and other people can watch you enjoying on camera. Spooky laughter. Spooky outfit. Okay, that's enough. I don't do politics at all, or political topics. So this episode is ultimately just titled my social media feeds. Until I go and say, what? And then I have to be like, alright, it's patriotism, patriotic, until I go, yeah, I like that, I like that, yeah. Then it's just don't be an asshole. And then add the context. people in power shit talking. It replaces don't be an asshole. My actual reaction is I can't. It's just I can't. So it's like I can't allow that. I can't allow that. I can't. Failure is not an option, and I can't is not allowed. There's just these are not words in my vocabulary. Those all could really just kind of go and work on nothing and basically just not work at all. Just basically stop working, sort of thing. Anyway, the establishment of the episode, the establishment of the name of the episode. Like, you know better. And then seeing it made manifest on the video and on the YouTube channel freaks me out. Freaks me out when I see reintroduction and then I've got Celtic knots on the background. This should freak me out in an even worse way, that this backdrop is the American flag. And then in the ways that it freaking freaks me out and then has it completely drawn the line. Totally done. Completely crossed the line. Totally done. The actual episode really is, I don't know, I guess it's just like literally not there. So I have to establish it right now in the most effortless way possible of prison. Maybe prison. I don't know. I don't think that works either. I don't know, I guess it's just the decision. I've decided to start commenting on politics here and there, as evidently I've avoided it as much as I can, and now I just can't avoid it anymore, and I have to talk about politics now, or something like that. So, really, ultimately, I didn't have to do that, and I don't have to do that, and probably not going to actually do that, but, well, that's good. Then I might as well get it all done right here, right now, in this episode. And build up a whole climax to the establishment of this episode. And then the establishment is usually added in another segment, but the way that I've been constructing the first 5 seasons of the episode, or of the podcast, is that I just throw everything in there all at one time, sort of thing, and the disclaimer, the full disclaimer, was and is totally lost. totally fucking lost, and having any ability to recover it and retrieve it is more risky than the actual loss of the full disclaimer. So me throwing this stuff out there like this is where the definitive line is drawn here in episode 68 of the Vault of Doom podcast, here with me, Mickey Gemini, and the freaking ways that the guys that freaking do their thing that's actually better than the way that I do it is ultimately my masculine inferiority complex that I have to deal with myself, I guess, on my own time, and then work that out, or something like that, as I seem to have become a bit of an expert at everything in some way, shape, or form. And that's not only is that not unfair, it's totally not only is it not unfair, not only is it unfair, it's not true, and it's unrealistic, just totally unrealistic, and it's cutting into the time that I'm spending. I mean, I want to teach you guys about the guitar finger exercises that I have been using for quite some time now, as it's way overdue. And then that's my politics. That's my, I sprinkle this in, and I tell you, let me freaking figure out how I can have all the freaking the freaking abilities of what I'm used to now, of all this stuff. I mean, if you're watching this video, you're literally watching the metamorphosis of a young man turning into something else. And that sounds ridiculous as hell, but I have to say it just so that I can, I guess, follow up with something better or something else, but something actually essential and actually substantial, and a real actual establishment that actually establishes Ding die wichtig sig is German for things that matter, or so Google says, and I can't even trust Google anymore to give me a proper translation, as it's conversationally invoking at this point. My validation of why this is okay is just that it's conversation invoking. Anyway, so then I just got up, walked away, left the camera, and then it became a movie, and then it just became a movie or something like that. Anyway, meanwhile, there's a movie, there's a real actual movie available on Lion's Den Productions that you can go watch right now. It's got plenty of freaking cool stuff in it, plenty of funny stuff in it. It's got a little bit of everything. It's even got some of those socio-political topics that I wrote essays about, that it's plenty conversation evoking, plenty thought provoking. If you just listen, if you'll just listen to it, and if you understand that listening to it is not just listening to it and consuming it. I understand that it's a totally difficulty thing here in this country that you would have this happen, but it's listening to it involves listening to it and sharing it. Listening to it now does not involve just listening to it. This isn't 1960s radio where you could sit and listen to a radio show. Listening to it involves listening to it, interacting with it. Add in your feedback, drop a comment, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Do all these things right away so you don't have to worry about somebody breaking down all of the different sections of all the stuff for you and all this stuff later. And then, of course, the big one, sharing it so that people that you share it with will give you some feedback on what you've shared with them, and you can have a conversation, and you don't have to be like me where you have to worry about am I supposed to be recording this? Am I supposed to be having a podcast right now? No, you're not supposed to. I know that I'm defending a little bit too roughly right here, roundhousing your ass, at having to be like, well, I don't have to record everything all the time, considering that I record when I want to. I do the podcast when I want to. And then me not having any real place to talk about that. Well, let me calm down. Let me calm down about that. I don't have any real place to talk about that. I don't have any sponsors generating income. I'm not getting the feedback at all, and the view counts and all this other stuff. And then when I'm doing my normal thing and running my normal rounds and I'm reading my emails, then I'm seeing stuff like, here's pro tips from YouTube, make more shorts so that you can have more views. Those views that I get from the shorts are plenty. I'm getting 500 to 1,000 views on my shorts. So it's saying make more shorts, and I have plenty of shorts. I have too many shorts. I have to actually take a step back from the whole thing and take a look at the whole thing in the best way possible, and then have ways that I could freaking look at what my next move is. Right now, I'm just literally fucking throwing everything out there and then seeing what comes back, just fishing. Throwing out my line and reeling back whatever I get. I don't know if you've ever been offline or not, but it's a pretty cool place to be. You should probably be offline more often. And then when you get offline, you find cool things that get you trapped and sucked in there. Don't get trapped. Don't you be getting distracted offline. Next thing you know, you're gonna freaking feed a succubi. Happy birthdays are in order right after this delicious commercial break. Woo! Whoa, Nelly, that was a good one. Woo! Whoa, Nelly! That was a good one. I don't take that long to freaking do anything. Well, I'm back to the show here with a little bit of quick sponsorships from me vocally that I want to tell you that the show is sponsored by self-sponsoring, but the show is sponsored by some more things that I've also created that I want you to check out and I need your feedback on, other than the movie, which I don't want to use the word, but don't want to use the word at all, and dislike. There's still a bunch of time put into it, so I kind of feel like I have to mention it every now and then. And it just has like a symbolic value at this point. It doesn't have any real value, actually. The audiobooks are probably going to be where I want to sponsor. So the audiobooks that I have feature another artist. He's something of a very involved in the musical community, way more involved in the musical community than I am, or will ever be. That's fact. That's factual information. He narrates the book. And then I narrate the ending because it wasn't finished right, and then I narrate the next one. And those freaking other sponsors that I want to do are, check out some of the educational videos that I got out about my freaking teaching guitar, and I'm just freaking hanging out with you guys and watching videos on guitar teachers during the pandemic lockdown when we were quarantined and not allowed to leave the house except for essential shopping. That I made some fucking live performances covering Trivium songs. I made some funny videos. I did a couple podcasts with myself. I did write a shitload of stuff down with a pen in a notebook. The stuff that I was writing down in the notebook was like a kind of music theory book. It was like a literal music theory book. Like music theory book, meaning like a book on music theory. And it was complete with a accurate and full description, bibliography, as best I could. The bibliography was done as best that I could. Where I brought it over with me to my travels and but all the lyrics were written on my application on my phone that I would also like to be doing some of the sponsorships of. I started off with the other videos that were involving guitar teaching and teaching guitar. Those, I don't know, maybe I'll figure it out, log into my Facebook one day and it's just gonna be there, and it's just gonna, I don't know, but a lot of the stuff's on Facebook that's now lost and it's not there anymore. God damn, I see where what position I found myself in. But dudes, check out those guitar teaching videos. Now back to the freaking topic here of the main topic of the show, that is called DMT is a hell of a drug. I'm not going to be talking about DMT, but maybe now is a good time to talk about some of the psychedelic experiences that I've had. So I'll probably get that out the way and be like, I took a bunch of drugs. Anyway, that's the whole thing. Anyway, like I would like to continue with talking about the new renditions to the show have been going down. I hope that you guys can hear my expressing my excitement about that. I hope that you can hear that I'm enjoying that. Of course, without needing to have any kind of extra thing added in at all or something like that. I don't have any clue what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Yeah. So I should probably press stop. Dudes, I love when we freaking chide and chastise each other and freaking make sure that we're like really totally miserable and like being really totally miserable. You could find some kind of freaking reality, some kind of freaking thing that makes you feel you're alive or something like that. Anyway, DMT is a hell of a drug, and I'm not going to be telling you guys any stories about any particular specific place or anything like that that has any associations whatsoever with DMT and the drug DMT or having anything to do with it at all whatsoever, especially considering that these drugs are illegal. So, talking about politics is one thing, and then talking about drugs is like a whole nother game, especially since I've hinted at something about breaking the sacred bond of marriage. Anyway, I literally don't have any breath to talk right now, so I have no place to talk about stuff. I have no breath to talk about stuff. If you are watching this, you are watching an undead living corpse vampire that was somehow miraculously once again able to make it out of that situation, just like he always does with everything else. So in the meantime, I think I'll fucking cash in the chips, guys. It's been a great time hanging out with you. It's been really good. Freaking chilling, hanging out. Now I'm gonna sit here and let the camera roll and play music that I've made until the next segment. I've seen so many freaking episodes of this show just go kaput. And I can't let this one fall by the wayside. I can't let this audience and following that I do have fall by the wayside. I can't let them down. I have to do my duty of pursuing happiness and life and liberty and various other things that's just the American flag talking. What up? What up, what up, what up? This is the next season of the show, guys. I mean, the next segment of the show. And there's a lot of good stuff to freaking be had in this episode and enjoy in this episode. And really, it's just like, hey, let's get down to the basics here of if you guys that are watching can understand the concept of what this is. Me growing the following is the actual goal here. Like, the actual goal is just like have people hear what I'm saying in terms of the podcast. The actual goal here between actually making the music is the same. I just want people to actually hear my music. Whatever it is that is following me and has been following me my entire life, that's all personal stuff that'll certainly have to freaking be dealt with in ways that just don't have any fucking goddamn any label to put on it except for a mere nuisance. I'm a grown adult. But let's fix you up with something tasty for the show. I was scrolling down my feed on some trending topics, and I'm finding all the topics I'm not interested in. And then I'm scrolling down my feed on other social sites and finding no topics I'm interested in. And, that's just where we're at with stuff here. This is the news source. These are news sources. And then for people that actually have the momentum going for these kind of things, I'll get stuck with some other generalized podcaster or something like that. I've spent the whole season and last season explaining so many fucking details about myself that this is one result of the drug use. And so I can't talk about my drug use. I don't want to. But getting these kind of episodes out there is totally disassociated with what kind of episodes I'm actually putting out there. In my mind, the episodes are the episodes. These episodes go out. When in reality, what actually gets put out, the actual content that gets put out, is just a bunch of fucking information about me. That's all stuff that you're supposed to deduce yourself and say, I think this about this guy. This is what I think about this guy, or something like that. It puts me in a category of at-risk podcaster, or at-risk everything at this point. I'll change clothes and go to something else, or stick with this long enough. This is not even the beginning. This is not even the start of it. And so, I fucking sit here and I power through and chug through all these, and I fucking get myself into a serious motherfucking goddamn This is my shit. This is my shit. And then I whoops guys gotta go and then fuck it all up and all this other shit, whatever, but hey, the shit that was actually like the shit that was actually trending, the shit that everybody's actually doing is always what I'm excluded from. I always seem to be excluded from everything else that everybody else is doing for some reason. Everybody's out skateboarding, I can't go skateboarding. Everybody's out making podcasts, I can't make podcasts. Everybody's out making music, I can't make music. And then all the stuff that the conversations that I need to have with people is not already done. I need to have certain conversations with certain people, and then it's done. Until that's done, and until it's extremely convenient for me, that's basically where I'm at with stuff. That's basically the reality, how I actually am. My actual attitude is also yet to be revealed until that basic disclaimer of that basic context and establishment has been established. Of the show is an establishment. The show is a source of income. This is a source of income. This is a way to generate revenue. There are things that I like to do, things that I basically need to do. Do what you have to do and do what thou wilt. And nothing complements that mentality more than the ones that I have adopted and the ones that I actually have subscribed to. So with there being a shitload of fucking time put into all of this shit, I hereby declare this fucking portion of the fucking show done. hiked up my big boy pants and wound up here on the last final segment of the episode, where I want to say I'm so relieved to be at the end of it, and I want to say, I don't want to talk about the same thing. I want to talk about, the demonstration. Basically, certainly serves as a really cool thing to show. But anyway, what's really cool else to talk about demonstrations is all the music that I'm working on right now, and then having a sheer odd comparison to like the odd artist here and there, and then having that be a bit of a hindrance, but not really though, not really much of a hindrance to me, as I'm just an artist, I'm just a musician, and I'm just making music, and I'm making art, and I've pretty sure I've already said as many things that could be said about myself. Oh, well, what am I going to talk about now? I don't know. Probably won't have anything to talk about at all. So, I'll talk about like the topics that I have in the chamber, and then I'll talk about stuff that's like safe to talk about, I guess, or something. And what does that even mean? What does any of that even really actually mean? I don't know, but I am not sure how this got this so badly, but I am pretty far in this game, and I'm pretty sure that looking at it like a constant battle or war is not going to help. So I'm done with this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. Like, share, subscribe.